Good morning, Year 11. As with our paper on the Cold War, this is the mark scheme for the Anglo-Saxon and Norman England paper. Once again, it is not the one that you are going to be sitting for your mock next week. This is just an overview of the type of things the examiners are looking for, and it is an idea on what sort of marks you need to be getting depending on your target grade, etc. So let me get my marker up. Laser pointer, I'm going for blue lightsaber today. So your first question on the Anglo-Saxon paper, describe two features of. This will always be the question stem for the start of your paper, so it's not going to be any surprises. Your first question on the Anglo-Saxon paper is basically describe two features. You'll notice that this is only one assessment objective. It is literally just your knowledge and understanding. You don't have to do much in the way of explanation, etc. It's asking you to describe. It is not asking you to explain. So if you were to bug this question, and I've talked about bugging questions before, two features. So you describe two features of fighting Hastings, okay? So it's basically give two facts about the fighting at the Battle of Hastings. Target knowledge of key features and characteristics of the period. Like I said, purely knowledge-based. You will get 1 mark awarded for each piece of information you give, but you have to develop it with supporting evidence. So for example, if you were to say both sides were evenly matched, that's fine, you'll get 1 mark, but you will not get the additional mark for the extended evidence, okay? And that is where the detail comes in. So even if you listed all 3 of these things here, you would still only get 2 marks. It is these plus the additional information that pushes you up to 4 marks. So the Normans used a feigned or fake retreat. They turned around to attack Harold's army. That there would get you the full 2 marks. So on a 4-mark question like this, if your target is a grade 4, you need to be looking at 2 marks. If your target is a grade 6, you are looking at least 2 marks. If you are aiming for a grade 8, your target for this question should be at least 3 marks. Okay, the next question then is an explain why. That, just like in your Germany paper, should get you thinking already. That and the fact that it's a 12 marker, you should know how you answer it. I'll be talking about that during our live lesson. But explain why William I had such a bad relationship with his son Robert. There's your stimulus material, okay? There is the stimulus material you are given. You have to add any of your or some of your own, okay? Because as you can see here, when I go through the mark scheme, it tells you you are limited if you don't go through it, go further than it, shall I say. So this question, this is an analysis question, okay? So this is more than just knowledge and understanding. This is an explain and analyze, and you are looking for the causes of something. You are looking for the reasons why William had a bad relationship with his son Robert. It is a 12 marker. If all you do is just make some really simple bullet pointed bits of information that might be relevant but might not be, you are only going to get a maximum of 3 marks. This is where you really need, all of you need to start aiming for, okay? You start to explain. That means you are using your words such as due to, or as a result of, or because of. That shows that you're starting to analyze. And if you look on here, the assessment objective, it has to be the analysis first. So the first thing the examiner will do is go through and look for how well you are explaining stuff. Then they will go through and they will look at how good your detailed evidence is. So this one is for AO2. You're starting to explain. You're using some words, but you basically don't have much focus on the question. It shows some development and some organization of material, so you might have put it in paragraphs, etc. But a line of reasoning isn't sustained, so you're not focusing on the question enough. And again here, for the evidence, it shows some knowledge, some relevant points, but not all, which means you might have done just a little bit or you remember something, but you're still waffling. If you take this as basically you're making a point, you're starting to give some evidence, and your explanation is really wishy-washy, this is the P bit, okay? For a level 3, for 7 to 9 marks, then, again, focus on AO2, your ability to explain first. Well, as you can see here, an explanation is given. So once again, you are using those connectives, you are using those development words, you are explaining something. And it is mainly directed at the conceptual focus of the question, the causation of William's bad relationship with his son, Robert. You do have a line of reasoning, so it's clear that you have some form of an argument in a paragraph, etc. Although some parts of your work may lack coherence and organisation. That means, if I just do this bit on evidence first and then come back to that in a minute, accurate and relevant information is included. So everything you are included is accurate, you're not making any mistakes, it is highly relevant to the question, and it results in you showing a good knowledge of and understanding of this question. So if you take it then as you've made your point for your paragraphs, you have developed it with accurate and relevant information, and you have a clear focus on the question. This led to William's bad relationship with his son because, okay? And then you link it back. So therefore, the relationship had to stay sour, something like that. You make sure that you've got a point, an evidence, an explanation. You might even start to link it to some of the other paragraphs. But remember, this is a 12 marker. It is not a full essay. To get 10 to 12 for a level 4, so between 10 and 12 marks, this is what you need to do. It's basically point, evidence, explanation, and very well linked. You've got to make sure that you have an analytical explanation. So you might have prioritized the paragraphs. You've put them in order in which you were going to write them. So the most important at the top, least important at the bottom. You've considered how you are going to set out your work, and it is directly consistent on causation. You are focusing on this caused the bad relationship, this caused that, this led to, as a result of this, this happened because. And that is what shows you as a sustained and logically structured piece of work. Again, the information precisely selected to address the question. It's carefully selected evidence. It goes that extra mile to really prove. You don't just put William, you don't just put Robert, you put extra stuff in there as well that makes it so relevant. And so target-wise, for a 12 marker like this, if your target is a grade 4, you are looking for at least 5 marks. So slap bang in the middle of a level 2. Now, please notice that is the maximum you will get if you do not add in a third paragraph of your own, okay? Next one then, if your target is a grade 6 for a 12 marker, you are looking for at least 7 marks. So for a 12 marker, this is what you are doing. But again, if your analysis and everything is absolutely fantastic, you still will not get any higher than 8 marks if all you have used are these 2 things here. You have to put in a bullet point of your own. And then finally, if your target is a grade 8 for a 12 marker, you are looking for at least 9 marks. Now, if you haven't done that, you will not be on target for your grade, okay? I would say that aiming for a 9, if your target is a grade 8, is fine. To be on the safe side, focus on a mark of 10. Now, yesterday on our Cold War mark scheme, I talked about indicative content. This is basically relevant information, relevant evidence that would suit this question. So every examiner will be sent this mark scheme. And these are the sorts of things that they will be looking for. However, as it clearly states, they don't have to be used as long as any information you do use is absolutely relevant to the question. Okay, so these 6 bullet points here, okay, these can be organized into paragraphs, expanded further, etc. But if you do have anything else that is relevant to the question, then you can put that in and it will be given a mark. But in terms of your revision, in terms of how you're doing, obviously this isn't a question that we've studied yet in class, but it isn't something that's going to be in your mock. It is just to give you an idea, okay? This is not detailed enough. These are literally just points that need to be developed with more evidence, more explanation, and then a clear link, okay? Now remember, this question is about causation. What caused something to happen? That's this question, okay? A 12 marker then is basically looking for your ability to analyse before it looks at your evidence. So now we get to your 16 marker, your essay. And as you know already, a 16 marker for your essay, well, it has to have a clear intro. It has to have at least 2, maybe 3 paragraphs in the main section and a conclusion. You have to state your intro, you have to agree with the concept of the question, then you have to put evidence to disagree with it, and then in your conclusion you sum up. So in this question, it says control of land was the main reason why the House Godwin had so much power. How far? To what extent? How much? Do you agree? You will see on this one then that AO2 and AO1 are not awarded equally. They are looking for your analysis and your evaluation. That is key for an essay. The bit where you say how important the paragraph is. This is an important, or this is not as important as this. And then AO1, your knowledge and understanding, your detailedness of your evidence. They're still looking for the detail, that's clear, but it's the analysis, your ability to understand that you are focusing on for this question. For question C or question 3 on your Anglo-Saxon and Anglo-Saxon paper, you always get a choice of essay. So this is just the first. If this question doesn't look good to you, then you can always choose the second. Again, this is the indicative content. This is the type of thing that the examiners will be looking for, okay? And they've divided it this time into agree with the statement. So these points agree that it is all about land. And then these points counter the statement. They disagree. They are the ones that say it was about something other than land, okay? Remember, that is how your essay should be structured. You agree, you disagree, conclude. If anything, if you're clever, and I will talk about this in our live lesson, and I tell you how to plan your question, you can leave space to write your intro at the end. So if you have a look at both of the essays, this one is all about building castles. The building of castles was the main cause of Anglo-Saxon resistance to Norman rule. Again, how far? To what extent? How much do you agree? Well, it's given you 2 bits of stimulus material. When I talk through this paper with you in the lesson, I'll tell you what the stimulus material will usually or make you think towards or lean you towards, as it were. But once again, you will see that it is graded by or marked in levels and a mark between level. Now, when I was taught to mark exam questions, when I was doing my training, you're always taught to read the essay through once. And then you think, right, slap bang in the middle of each one. Okay, you then choose a level. So you think, right, okay, where are they? Do they need to go up in the level? Do they need to go down in the level? So the first thing an examiner will do is just read through your answer first, and then they will decide what level they think you're at. They will put you slap bang in the middle of it, and then go back through to see if they can award you more marks or fewer marks. You've always got to remember and always have to imagine that you are the 74th paper that an examiner has marked late on a Friday night, and all they want to do is go to bed. You cannot assume anything with an examiner. Okay, you have got to point things out to them. And it is exactly the same in terms of your analysis, but also the evaluation has to come within your paragraphs and in your conclusion. So once again, point, evidence, explain, link. So for a 16 marker, if your target is up to a grade 4, you are looking for 7 marks, at least 7 marks. If your target is a grade 6 for a 16 marker, you are looking for at least 9 marks. And if your target is up to a grade 8, you are looking for at least 12 marks. Now, this question is different from your Germany question in terms of there is no SPAG available for this question. There is no spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So you're not going to get 4 easy marks just for spelling things correctly. And so once again, this is the indicative content. This is to agree with the statement that about Motte and Bailey Castles agreeing with the question. These are the points that disagree with the question. Depending on what your argument is, you will make sure that that argument is clear throughout your answer, but this is the evidence that you really should be looking for. So intro, agree, so 1, maybe 2 maximum paragraphs, and then disagree, 1 maximum of 2 paragraphs. But you have to have a conclusion. If your target is of a grade 5 or above, that conclusion is what gets you or helps get you, as well as the structure of your essay, your target grade. So that's it for the mark scheme. Have a look back through it. I will see you in the live lesson as well. And if you need anything or anything on the mark scheme explaining, just let me know.